And thank you all for attending. Excited to show you Deere inventory. Just quick, I'll throw up my contact information. I cover North America. I've been doing implementations for almost 4 years. You can see my email address there, and I assume this will be included in the recording, and my phone number. So I'd be happy to show. I'm going to be going pretty quick here, and there's a lot to show. If you want a more in-depth demo for one of your clients or yourself, feel free to contact me or refer your clients directly to me, and I'd be happy to go through, a personalized demo with them. So, and help them evaluate if Deere is right for them. All right, so I'm going to use this is the public website. Just going to go through it a little bit so that you understand what it's about. We offer a lot of different things around purchasing, manufacturing, inventory control, etc. We manage lots of different sales channels, be it this being showing you a point of sale system. We have a business-to-business e-commerce system. We integrate with lots of other e-commerce systems, such as some of these that you're seeing here, WooCommerce, Amazon, WooCommerce as a and Shopify and Magento as e-commerce systems, as well as marketplaces like Amazon and eBay. So I wanted to quickly go through those, and you can see some of those other integrations listed here if you're ever looking at some of the ones that we've got. All right. And so I would encourage you to look here at all of the various ones that would apply to your particular client. All right. So industries, we kind of mentioned these before. E-commerce and retail. They also have retail locations, pretty common. And I'll go through a kind of a model integration or systems setup in a second. But manufacturers of all various sorts, be them food producers or health and beauty aids, or they might make supplements, or they might make jewelry, all kinds of different, anybody that's got a bill of materials or has a recipe, we can help them in a really rich way. As well as having lots of different e-commerce integrations and ways to deal with that. So let me show you, this is kind of a representative integration that you'll see, is that often somebody will have a website. So in this case, I've shown Shopify. It could have been Magento or WooCommerce, for example. You can also have marketplaces like Amazon and eBay. And that's where, and this is often a big reason that people are coming to us, is that they're managing inventory across multiple sales channels, and they need an omni inventory solution, and that will keep track of it all for them. You can also integrate things like Square for point of sale. And then Deere also has built into it its own entry of point of sale and B2B, a B2B portal. The B2B portal is your client's customers being able to come in and do their orders and be able to keep track of what the status of their orders, if it's shipped or not, and pay for it online, etc. They can get invoiced, and they can pay online as well through it. Full integrate, lots of integration with QuickBooks. I'm going to show you that. And then an example of, we often have people that are using ShipStation as a fulfillment solution. There's other solutions as well at FlowShip. So that's that. And now I really want to get into Deere itself. And so this is what Deere, now we're in the application. I'm going to come back to what I was just showing there. This is when they land in it, there's a dashboard with KPIs around various different things that you can be looking at, and bills and orders. We can look at lots of different things there. We can look at purchases. and sales. This is all reconfigurable. We could be looking at who are your top sales reps, who are your top customers, who are your top products. I could choose a various product here and my All-American Apple Pie and who are the customers for that. There's a lot of different things that we can do on this dashboard. But that's not where I spend most of my time. So I wanted to first start off, though, with the integration with QuickBooks, right? And just so you understand what that is, since that's where we're starting here and where your customers, your clients will be coming from. So there is a synchronization with QuickBooks, and it brings in all kinds of information when you do that. Chart of accounts, vendors, your the customers, the products, all of that comes right into Deere. The chart of accounts, payment terms, and tax rules are read-only for Deere, so QuickBooks controls that. And then things like vendors, customers, products, as well as payments and refunds are synchronized. So you could be entering them on the Deere side or entering them on the QuickBooks side, and when they're synchronized, it'll be in both. So you can always see those. There's certain things, transactional things that you'll probably want to start in Deere because Deere is going to have a much richer set of information about, for example, if there's a lot number, a batch number, a serial number associated with an item, that has to come from Deere, and keeping track of the inventory. So really, the transactional stuff happens in Deere for those sorts of things. And then there's a bunch of things here that are also are exported out to QuickBooks from Deere. So purchase orders, if you want to have them, like what I think Woody was just showing, and a number of other things here. Trying not to go into super detail just because for time's sake and give you as much of a feel of Deere as I can. Deere can only integrate with Plus or Essentials, right? So just keeping a track of Woody was just using QuickBooks Online Plus. Essentials can also work with Deere. And then there's a little bit of information there, exactly what Woody was saying, that turning off tracking on products needs to be done on the Deere side, rather on the QuickBooks side. All right. So now what I want to do, what I'm going to focus on is products and assembly, and then depending on how our time's going, also on the reports and integration. But I'll give you a feel for sort of the purchasing and sales part, because there is, it is relevant, obviously, but it's not. I want to get you to the stuff that is, really if you're doing inventory, it's about the products, right? So let's look at inventory. Right? So I'm going to look at our products here, right? And all right, so we have a whole bunch of different products here. This company, Good Food Plus, makes apple pies, right? So you're going to see things that are familiar in here, like the apple pies themselves, as well as a 6-pack of them, and then lots of different things that are ingredients for the apple pies, as well as the packaging and labels, etc. Right? So if I go and look at the apple pie, right, as a product, we're going to look at different things. So I have SKU numbers for them. You name the product. Product types can be stock, service, or a fixed asset. Most of it's going to be stock. Categories. You're able to categorize how, and this depends on the business, how you're going to categorize all this various stock that you've got. And it's helpful in understanding sort of what's going on, it's helpful in reporting, and just understanding how the business is put together. You could have different brands. If you have one brand, sometimes I recommend that the client doesn't really need to have a brand. but you could also have a brand for whatever that product is. All right, so costing methods. So we do provide a lot of different costing methods. FIFO, we do serial numbers, batch numbers on a FIFO basis. We also do FIFO, so first expired, first out, so for serial number and batch. And then we also provide a special, what we call special batch and serial number, which is FIFO under the covers, but well, the selection is FIFO, that what the system will suggest for a given product, but it will allow the user to override what the system has done. So, which can be really helpful, both because there's a reason that you want to override it, or because of some kind of mistake's been made or something, that there's a business reason to override it. There's often businesses use that. Unit of measure. There's all kinds of, you can specify a unit of measure for your different products. And there's ways to do unit conversion as well with something called disassemblies. Drop shipping. We provide drop shipping for products. So a product can be ordered. So let's say it comes in from e-commerce system, and you always drop ship. The system can automatically create a purchase order to purchase that product from a supplier that you specified. The optional drop ship is to be able to, if you're out of stock of a particular item, then it will trip over to a purchase order so that you can get that drop ship to someone. Right? Bill of materials is checked on this. I'm going to come back and dig into that a little bit more because this is a product that we make. Inventory account, revenue account, COGS accounts, all of these could be specified here. I could specify them, but I also have a way, there's some default settings that are set in the product to allow a default for every new product would take whatever the default setting is. So in this case, I know it's inventory, it's this, but if I wanted to override it on a product basis, then I can. Same thing with revenue, same thing with COGS, right? As well as the sales tax rule can be overridden as well, right? So all of these can be the defaults or can be given an override. You can do product discounting. There's all kinds of product discounting rules. So it could be buy 10, get one for $1 off. That can be a rule that is applied to this product. Those same rules could be applied to a given customer. There are many different ways to provide discounts. All right. You can, let's see, other things that you can do if you want to expand a attribute set. So let's say this is not enough. I can expand the attribute set and add up to 10 more attributes that I apply to a given product. Barcoding, this might be a UPC code for a given product. Deere does support both the printing of barcodes as well as the scanning of barcodes. Here's your reorder point, like what Woody was going over. What Deere also provides is reorder quantity, so that there's a semi-automation of creating purchase orders for reordering. Tags are what you might expect, hashtags, like hashtags that you can apply to a product. If, say, categories wasn't enough or your additional attributes, there's another way to add metadata to a product. You can specify products, whether they're sold or not. In our case, because we're doing bill of materials, you might have your ingredients might not, I sell apple pies, but I don't sell sugar, right? So that's why, so sugar would say I'm selling this product is no, right? So now let's look at our bill of materials. Bill of materials here, you might remember this from your grandmother or your own apple pie. This might look familiar. So here is a bunch of different ingredients that go into this product. These are in pounds, so I'm just putting in a little bit of flour, some sugar, etc., apples, and so on. I have in the way that we've modeled this, we've put the label and the pie box in here. There's lots of different ways to model how you're going to put together a manufactured product. This is the way we chose it for this. And then you also notice pie crust, right? There's 2 pie crusts that go with this thing. Now, we make our own pie crusts, as it turns out. So this is another assembly that is elsewhere in the system, right? And then you'll also notice here this waste quantity. And so I need 2.7 pounds of apples per apple pie, but I don't store my apples as I store my apples as whole apples because they keep very easily that way. So when I go to make an apple pie, I actually know that I'm going to have about a half a pound of waste. So I'm actually going to need that 3.2 pounds. So when I do manufacturing, that would it would show me that, right? Then you can also specify labor and overhead, right? So hours here, it takes 0.2 hours for each pie at a cost of $3. I'm paying $15 an hour for them to make these apple pies, right? There are other things around a product. There's price tiers, right? So we have all kinds of price tiers. I have retail, wholesale things that I'm doing. I can have up to 10 price tiers for things. And then there's other ways to get at pricing as well. I can specify dimensions. I can see suppliers. I can specify reorder levels based on locations. So let's say I had multiple locations that I did my production. I could have all those different levels. Movements. Movements is on a product level. So these are apple pies. I can see the finished goods that I've done of these, and I can actually click on that, and I'd be able to go to that finished goods assembly. And so I could see that assembly. We'll come back to that in a little bit. We can see other things that are done here. Sales of the product, restocking, a stock adjustment. So you can see all of the various things that are happening with a given product under movements. Bill of materials we just covered. Discounts. You can see that here that the Warren store gets the buy 10, get $1 off, right, for this particular product. And then you can have images associated with this. That's what you're seeing. Often those images are coming over when you're synchronized with an e-commerce system. All right. Let's see. Anything else I want to cover with that? I think that's it for that. So other things I wanted to show while we're on here is tutorials. So when you click on the tutorial, you can go out and see there's all kinds of, they tend to be about 5 to 10 minute tutorials on how to do all these various things, right? There's also ability to print various things, right? So so here I could print a product label, right? And let me do that quick. So there's a product label, right, for this apple pies, case of 6. There's a barcode for it. And in this case, and I'll get into this a little bit more, you probably can't see that for the life of you. I'll make it a little bigger. There we go, that's probably better. Here, this is showing the batch number as well as the expiration date. Right? And the reason it's so small is because it's the little label that's stuck on something. Right? Other things here I wanted to show. That was the assembly. If we went back to the product, we also have tutorials, and there's other things we can do. We clone products. I think we'll stop there now. All right. So now what I want to show you is the actual assembly of a product, right? So I'm going to do, so this is a list of assemblies, but I can do a new assembly, right? So I'll do a new assembly. Yeah, there. So I specify my location, where I'm going to do the location. I'm going to do it at my main warehouse, right? I can just, in either one of these, as product name or SKU, I can just start typing, and it's going to do a keyword match for me. So I'm going to make some apple pies, right? I can specify my work in progress and finished goods. So work in progress would be something like, let's say they made cheese. And that's all about, or whatever product it is. If they are going to be tying stuff up in work in progress, Deere can have that get done so that things come out of inventory. That stock is no longer available as an ingredient, but you don't have a product that's a finished good product yet. So that might be like cheese would be an example of that. Okay, so now I'm going to make, so I'm looking at the quantity I'm going to make of these apple pies, right? And so let's say it's, I'm going to say I'm going to make 10, but I could actually make 113. So let's say I'm going to make 100. And I can tell them my work in progress date and completion date. I do it all in one day, so I don't need to specify that, but I could if it was something else that I was doing. My batch number, I'm going to call it today's date. That's how I do it. You could do your batch numbering however you wanted. And my expiration, I freeze these, so I give them 6 months. 6, and so it's the expiration date is 6 months out, right? I come down below here and I load the bill of materials, or I could be scanning them with a barcode scanner. But I load in all of my bill of materials, and I can see here all of those various things, right? So do you remember, apple pies? It was 2.7 plus half a pound of waste. So for 100 pies, I need 320 pounds of apples. Now I've got 11,000, close to 12,000 available, so I'm good there, right? You can see all of the availability and what I need for each, as well as the total cost, right? That's getting calculated on an average cost basis, right? Although, and I'll mention, because these, I know that is an accounting group, Deere does actual costing for its costing, such that whatever it is that you use, that's going to be the cost, and that will make more sense in a second. So so I can go through and I can save this at any point as a draft, right? And then someone else can then authorize it. You could have those separated with as permissions, and there's very fine-grained permissions that are allowed in Deere. All right, so now we've got the sort of the recipe, but now we've got to actually pick, because we're doing that actual costing. I can go out and I actually pick those things that are going to be a part of this assembly, right? So now we have, in some cases, the batches, numbers that are associated with these various things, right? So here is the batch of flour that I'm using, right? And I could switch to a different batch if I wanted to. I can see that I also have this batch 5055, right? And I have apples, right? I have these different Cortland apples, and I have a whole bunch of different Cortland apple that are available. This is the one that it's suggesting I use, but I could override it, right? So that's all of those things, and then you'll recall that we also have all right, so we've got that. No, we're picking. Never mind. I'm sorry. So, so we've got that, right? And I could save that again, or I can allocate it. So it's not saved yet. It hasn't been allocated to this production yet until I specifically allocate it. All right. So I will allocate it. I'm going to just note. See how it says quantity up here? We're going to come back to that. So I'm going to allocate this, right? And now we're in the middle of production, right? So all of these various things have happened and are going on, and not until the production is complete am I actually going to say, this is ready to go. Oops, that's my 5-minute notice there. All right. So, and then I can, if I complete that, I could have changed the actual yield to say 95, right? But then the total would have still been, the total cost would have been for all 100, even because I burned 3, say, or 5 rather. All right. So let me show you a couple of other things here quickly. All right. So let's look at reports, just so you can see that reporting in Deere is very strong. So I have purchase reports that I can look at my pending purchase orders that are, not yet fulfilled yet. There's things that are coming in. My purchase cost analysis that you see I highlighted there. All kinds of sales reporting. Inventory reporting. Let's look at inventory reporting for a second, because obviously this is all about inventory. For inventories, I can look at by location, say, by product, and all of the various things that are here. I can constrain this to say just the main warehouse, say. And so then here I have all my various products and their availability at the main warehouse. I can also switch this. I can see this, how I'm like lifting this up and it's floating. I could pull this out and pull product over instead. And so let's say I wanted to look at it from, okay, how do I have for all my American apple pies? And then I could go back to say, okay, show all my locations, right? So now I can see American apple pies at both my coprocessor and my main warehouse. There's all kinds of things I could do here. I could pull in categories. I could pull this category down, and it could be finished products, right, versus ingredients. There's really powerful stuff there. And then I can export all this to Excel, right? So there's tons of stuff that you can do there. Let's see. Let's quick look at integrations. Wanted to mention this because it's important that this is where a lot of businesses start and why they want to come to Deere. Is they have an Amazon store as well as a Shopify store, as I said before. That integration, you come in and it's pretty simple to set it up. You're just going in and specifying your store, and you're able to, here I can add a store. I'm not going to go through the full thing, but you would add the store, you connect to it, it pulls in all the products, and then the products flow into Deere in a real-time basis. So if I have, say, that Amazon store and the Shopify store, they're pointing at the same location, then when a sale happens on Amazon, then the availability for the Shopify store changes dynamically, automatically, and in real time. So that happens. That's a big reason that people start using Deere inventory. I know that we're getting close here, Woody. I'm happy to keep going a little bit.
No, it's great. It's great, and I love the just that exhaustive list of e-commerce integration that Deere provides. And I know the example is food production, but there's so many different industries that this would be great for. If the need is really e-commerce and you have all these different shopping cart possibilities, the fact that you all support most of them is awesome. I did not know that.
Right, yeah.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah,
food, clothing is great.
Because it exposes a lot of things. But yeah, it can be, we have a lot of businesses that are just, buying product and then selling it. Or some businesses are using it for inventory, just keeping track of, they want robust inventory reporting. It's a really good counting machine. All kinds of things. And
I like the disassembly. I mean, Enterprise doesn't break assemblies, right? It just builds them too. So the fact that you can auto disassemble, that's pretty powerful, I think, for that type of niche.
And there also, it's worth mentioning that the assemblies, we didn't really get into it, but for assemblies, if you do have an assembly, say, that 6-pack that I was talking about, right? This 6-pack right here is well, this is actually the production of it, but if I went to the product, you'd see that this is an auto assembly. So it's 6 pies in a box, right? Now, we don't actually store them, say, that way. And whenever we get a 6-pack order, we then fulfill it that way. Deere will show both the availability of the individual pies as well as the 6-packs. And it calculates that, both in Deere as well as for the e-commerce channels, so that these all. If you had all these different sorts of ways that you sell products in 3-packs, 6-packs, 12-packs, pallets, whatever, then you'd be able to dynamically have that availability show.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's really robust. That's great. Really robust, this app.
All right. So, and I'll just, throw my information up here again. If you have any, need to, or client that you think this would be good for, I'm happy to review it with them or review it with you so that you have a good, a way to talk to your clients about it anytime. That's what I do.
That's great. I saw
that in helping customers implement Deere.
Absolutely, and as well as answer questions or do a demo. So I just want to thank Stan Ward for coming today and spending this time and for the deep dive and just kind of open my eyes as to what Deere can provide. Please, I've also put his email address, Stan's email and phone number into the chat area of GoToWebinar, so copy that down. If you have any clients that need this functionality that obviously I proved QBO does not have, then this is where you go. Particularly if there's an e-commerce integration, I think that is really key to point out. But even if not, although my guess is most people are doing web stores or selling online now, so this will be part of it. But that's fantastic. I don't see any other questions because you went over the tutorial part. You can get the tutorial videos right from in product. I saw that on one of the pages. Yeah. Yeah. So and the integration with QBO and all the different valuation methods. So I don't see any other questions, but as I promised, it's 11 Pacific, 2 Eastern, so we'll shut it down. Again, Stan, just thank you so much for spending the hour with me and breaking down inventory and, of course, what Deere Systems offers.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot, Woody.
All right, you guys have a great day.